Former employees of state institutions including archaeology and housing protest opposite the presidential secretariat.
ගෙදර ප්‍රශ්නේ වුණත් සාකච්ඡා කරලා විසඳුවොත් තමයි විසඳුමක් ගන්න පුළුවන්.
Will members of Vietmaga receive nominations from the Pohot tour?
ජනතාව එක්ක වියතුන් වගේම බිම හඳුනන වියතුන් වෙන්නත් ඕනේ.
UNP Working Committee convenes again. Chinese national corona patient cured.
Hello there, a very good evening and welcome to Primetime News on TV1. I'm Charlene Benedict for the News First team, and with me is my co-anchor Michaela Fernando. Good evening, Michaela.
Good evening, Charlene. Taking a look at your top story for tonight, a series of protests took place opposite the Presidential Secretariat once again today. Protests included those that were carried out by employees laid off by the Railways, Wildlife and Housing Development Department, as well as other groups citing a number of demands.
Employees who were recruited to the Department of Archaeology on contract basis and have since been laid off blocked the road opposite the Presidential Secretariat this afternoon. When police officers intervened to have the protesters move to the agitation site that has been set up, a tense situation arose. The protesters, who were formerly from the Department of Archaeology, had been at the agitation site this afternoon as well. Meanwhile, a group that was employed at the National Housing Development Authority on a contract basis during the previous administration protested opposite the Presidential Secretariat once again today. While riot squads were also in position to aid the police, police officers attempted to minimize the traffic created by the protesters. It was reported that 2 protesters were injured and that they were taken away in an ambulance. Meanwhile, another group protested opposite the Presidential Secretariat, demanding that in excess of 1,500 employees who weren't recruited permanently in more than 5 years of employment be given permanent employment. The protesters carried out their protest opposite the railway station in Maradana as well as the Fort Railway Station. The protesters allege that even though they were recruited in the years of 2014 and 2015 on a contract basis, they are yet to be given permanent appointments. 5 members of the group were given the opportunity to speak to officials at the Presidential Secretariat. The discussion, which continued for 2 hours, ended without a consensus. Minister of Transport Service Management Mahinda Amaravira arrived at the Ratmalana railway yard and met with the protesters. These issues have been solved earlier. This should not have been dragged on for 6 years. I have received a cabinet paper. When I received the draft, I have approved and signed it. It has already been sent. This is a cabinet paper, usually a secret document. There is no need to strike. It is something that I will do. Meanwhile, wildlife guides who were recruited under the previous government also staged a protest opposite the Presidential Secretariat. They demanded that their daily wage of 700 rupees be increased. While 200 protesters gathered opposite the Presidential Secretariat, 10 of them were given the opportunity to meet with an additional secretary to the President. That discussion had also concluded with no agreement. The National Centre of Graduates also carried out a protest opposite the Presidential Secretariat today. The protesters said that although they possess a degree, the government has failed to give them jobs that are suited to their qualification. 10 members of the National Centre of Graduates were also given the opportunity of meeting officials of the Presidential Secretariat. The Unemployed Graduates Association also staged a protest opposite the Fort Railway Station today, demanding swift solutions to the issues that they are currently facing. The protesters then proceeded to the Presidential Secretariat, following which they held discussions with an additional secretary to the President. Meanwhile, an injured veteran also carried out a protest opposite the Presidential Secretariat earlier today. He demanded that he be reinstated in service after he had been removed without any prior notification. EP Anuruddha Sunith Kumara had joined the army in 2007, following which he had sustained injuries in August 2008 while on active duty. He stated that even though he had been convicted of theft, he had not been given notice before being laid off. I was convicted in a theft case. I accepted the fault. I returned to the camp in 2012, following which, under clause 375 of the disciplinary code, I was told that I was laid off. There was no letter given to confirm this, nor was I given compensation for the injury to my leg. This veteran was also given the opportunity to hold discussions with the respective regiment head at the Defence Ministry. Releasing a statement earlier today, the army declared that this officer had served under the Singha regiment of the army. They further added that under the provisions available to him at the army, he cannot claim any sort of compensation or dues.
ආයතන ගණනාවක සේවකයන්ට තමන්ගේ රාජ
Employees of many institutions are unable to carry out their duties at present. Thousands of people who were legally recruited for some of the banks following interviews have been terminated from service after new government was appointed. A grave injustice was caused to these recruits. Was the government's job opportunity program created to appoint people to positions left vacant by those who were terminated?
සූදානම් වෙන්නේ මේ වැඩ කරන අය එළියට දාලා ඒ පුරප්පාඩු වලට අලුතෙන් ඇතුල් කරන්න.
ප්‍රශ්නයක් ප්‍රථමයෙන් ආයතනය තුල
We are trying to find a solution within the institution first. Failing, the solution will be provided through the respective subject ministry. If the issue is not resolved by the ministry, it will be put to the respective political authority. Failing in that, we will put it to the cabinet. And if that too does not work, we will take it to the president. Any issue needs to be addressed and resolved. We are ready for discussions.
ඉතින් සාකච්ඡාවට ලැස්ති.
Meanwhile, Minister Bandulu Gunawardena spoke about the program to provide employment to graduates.
මේ සඳහා අයදුම්පත් ඉදිරිපත් කිරීමේ දිනය මෙම මාසේ පෙබරවාරි.
The deadline to submit applications for this has been extended until the 22nd of this month. The application form can be obtained from the website www.presidentoffice.gov.lk. This application should be sent through the speed courier service of the postal department along with a letter from the Gram Seva officer and the divisional secretariat certifying that the applicant has been a graduate without employment for a period of 1 year, and this needs to be certified by a Justice of Peace. Employment at a divisional secretariat level will be provided to graduates from an accepted university or a higher diploma of a similar level and is below the age of 45. During the 1 year period where these graduates will undergo training on leadership and in the field they are expected to be employed in, they will receive an allowance of 20,000 rupees. After the training period, the trained graduate will be assigned to fill vacant posts at divisional secretariats. They will be placed under the relevant salary grades and given permanent employment. These graduates should be employed at the same divisional secretariat that they were posted at for a period of 5 years. They will not be able to get a transfer by virtue of any political interference. We have estimated that there will be about 55,000 to 60,000.
කිසිදු දේශපාලන හෝ වෙනත් බලපෑමකට ස්ථාන මාරුවක් ලබා ගන්නට පුළුවන් කමක් ඇති වෙන්නේ නැහැ. 55,000 60,000 පමණ ඇති කියලා තමයි අනුමාන කරන්නේ.
We received details of a one-of-a-kind project where a forest reserve is being destroyed, supposedly to protect the adjacent village from the threat of wild elephant attacks. This was reported from Orugalyaya, Tambuttegama.
Venerable Pahiyangal Anandasagara Thera visited the Orugalyaya Reserve in Tambuttegama after he received information that the reserve was being cleared over the past few weeks. It was observed that a pathway was cut through the reserve, dividing it into plots of land at half an acre each. Stone quarries were also being operated at various locations in the reserve that was being cleared out. These roads have been cut to distribute land. The people have also been given letters promising them land. The Director General also asked for this forest reserve to be completely cleared. He made that statement in front of me. To present facts on the damage that has been caused, Venerable Pahyangala Anandasagara Thera attended the District Development Coordination Committee meeting in Anuradhapura.
අලි කලමනාකරණය කරන ව්‍යාපෘතියක් අදයි එන්නේ කර 250ක් තියෙනවා. කැලේ කැපුවාම ඒ අලි යන්නේ කොහෙටද? අපි නළුවකට යනවා.
You can watch a comprehensive report on this story on our website www.newsfirst.lk and also on our Facebook page. Moving on in more local news. Now, there were rumors that members of Vietmaga are going to contest the upcoming general election. What is the stance of the Sri Lanka Bojana Peramuna regarding this?
People would think this person has spent a lot of money or that this person would provide us employment. They would therefore think that these people are the most qualified people to go into parliament. That is what the people would think. That is not the duty of a parliamentarian. There are MPs who are in parliament for 10, 15 or 20 years. There are MPs who have stayed for longer. If they have remained for that long and are still not able to make this country successful, then there is no point sending these people again and again. We need to stop this.
පළක් නෑ මේක අපි නවත්තන්න ඕන ජනාධිපතිතුමා මම හිතන්නේ වියත්මග කරා ඔහුගේ පිරිසක් පාර්ලිමේන්තු මැතිවරණ ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න මේක සහ දැනට පොට්ටුව පක්ෂයේ නාම යෝජනා ලබා දීමේදී
When providing nominations, a committee comprising seniors will be appointed, including Basil Rajapaksa. They will select suitable people who can take this country forward and are suitable to contest. They should be intellectuals. There should also be people who are recognized by the village level. If the village does not accept these people, then there is no point speaking about that. We should therefore have a combination of intellectuals and people accepted by the village. That is what we hope to do as a party and as an alliance. Any faction can be in this. There is no issue.
Now, MP Ranjit Madduma Bandara said that nobody in the United National Party's working committee opposed his appointment as the General Secretary of the new political movement that is being built under the leadership of MP Sajith Premadasa.
The Central Committee of the United National Party met today at the party headquarters in Sirikota. MP Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca said neither him or MP Ajit P. Pereira participated in the working committee meeting despite being at the party headquarters. The meeting, which began at 4:30 p.m, ended around 6:30 p.m. The UNP MPs expressed their opinions on the decisions taken at today's meeting.
Nobody opposed my appointment to the position of General Secretary. There were opinions expressed on the symbol. We will now discuss with other parties on how to build this alliance. There were only a few small issues which we will have to fix over the next 2 days.
ඉදිරි දින දෙක තුන ඇතුළත ඒ ප්‍රශ්න විසඳන්න අපි කටයුතු කරනවා. දැන් මෙතන තියෙන ගැටලුව තමයි සමහර කාරණා පිළිබඳ ආපස්සට යන්න.
Some people are trying to go back on certain agreements. I would like to say that this alliance is being built for the party, the people and the country. If you are not given the freedom to do that, we can't build it to its maximum potential. There are written agreements that have been signed that have not been made public. If they go back on those agreements, they do not appreciate democracy, the party or the country.
මේ රටේ ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදීවත් ආදරේ නැති රටටත් ආදරේ නැති අය. අද එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයේ කෘත්‍යධාරී මණ්ඩලයේදී
Today at the meeting, we approved Ranjit Madduma Bandara's name for the position of General Secretary of the Alliance. However, most of the working committee were of the opinion that the party should contest under the symbol of the elephant. There were those who stated that the alliance should contest under a common symbol, but this was the common consensus. If they are to change it, approval needs to be sought from the advisory committee of the party.
අපි නැවතවරක් බ්‍රහස්පතින්දා සිටි කුරාදාරි කෘත්‍යධාරී මණ්ඩලය රැස් වෙනවා. කෘත්‍යධාරී මණ්ඩලයේදී තවත් යෝජනාවක් අපි සම්මත කරගත්තා. නවීන් දිසානායක.
It was decided that the party appoint a committee comprising Navin Disanayaka, Ravi Karunanayaka and Lakshman Kiriyalla to recommend persons to hold the remaining positions in the alliance.
යෝජනා කිරීම සඳහා කෘත්‍යාධිකාරී මණ්ඩලයට
Sajith Premadasa මැතිතුමා
Sajith Premadasa today expressed his dismay at the treatment from the party. He is of the opinion that if he is the opposition leader and prime ministerial candidate, that he not be controlled by those who want him to contest under the elephant symbol. If the UNP has a leader and want to contest under the elephant, they should go ahead and contest. I am very disappointed as I came into politics to work for the country. If we are to go forward in politics, we must come together and become stronger. I am very disappointed by this.
මේ ඉස්සරහට යන්න ඕනේ. මෙහෙම කරන්න හරිම අමාරුයි. ඉතින් ඒ නිසා ඉතාමත්ම කනකාටුදායකයි.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa paid homage at Buddha Gaya in the Indian state of Bihar today.
Prime Minister's media division said Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, who arrived at the Buddha Gaya airport, was warmly welcomed by dozens of Indian nationals. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa paid homage to the Mahabodhi temple and obtained blessings from the Mahabodhi. The Prime Minister had engaged in cordial discussions with the Venerable Theros at the temple and Sri Lankan devotees. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, who is on a 4-day official visit to India at an invitation of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, is due to arrive in Sri Lanka tomorrow.
In more local news, MP Nama Rajapaksa commented on the inclusion of parliamentarian Prasanna Ranavira as a part of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa's delegation to India.
The UNP has become startled. The UNP previously claimed Gotabaya Rajapaksa is not good. Those who said he was a murderer, a dual citizen and that he is a military leader are the ones who are saying that Gotabaya Rajapaksa is good and that Mahinda Rajapaksa is bad. It is this kind of people who are saying that Narendra Modi, who sold tea before becoming a Prime Minister, is good and that Prasanna from Kalaniya is bad.
The Chinese national woman who contracted the coronavirus in Sri Lanka continues to be monitored by a panel of specialist doctors at the Institute of Infectious Diseases. This is a look at the unwavering national service rendered by the Institute of Infectious Diseases, with suspected cases of coronavirus infections being reported from Sri Lanka.
The Newsfirst team today visited the isolation unit of the Institute of Infectious Diseases. This is the first time since the coronavirus was detected in Sri Lanka that a media organization is touring the isolation unit of the Institute of Infectious Diseases. The isolation unit consists of several isolation rooms where patients suspected to have contracted coronavirus are being observed and treated. This includes the Chinese woman who was the first corona patient reported from Sri Lanka. The entire staff follows stringent safety procedures when dealing with the patients here. The doctors and staff at this isolation unit have worked tirelessly to provide all the necessary facilities to the patients that are being treated here.
I love you.
You mustn't be angry with me.
What do you think about Sri Lanka and about our hospital staff?
我觉得这里的护士特别好，医生特别好，像家人一样温暖和亲切。我特别感谢护士长，在我最无助的时候，他帮助我，他安慰我，他给我买了衣服和鞋子。可是我想回家了。
But I want to go home.
I know.
We were able to treat these patients without any issue because of the skill, dedication and work ethic of our staff. We were able to cure the only case of corona that was reported in Sri Lanka. Other patients had some fear when they visited the hospital for treatment. Certain companies that provided services at the hospital withdrew. The staff and the patients were isolated in the hospital. They were so dedicated that they did not have to be given orders or directions.
Against a background where the corona outbreak instilled such a fear even in well-developed countries where patients were isolated and treated with the help of robots, the services provided by the staff at the Institute of Infectious Diseases against all obstacles that were faced should be admired by the entire nation. Meanwhile, the global death toll from the coronavirus outbreak reached 910 and the total confirmed cases have increased to 40,171 as the World Health Organization's chief voiced concern over the spread of the disease from people with no travel history to China. The head of the World Health Organization has warned that confirmed cases of coronavirus being transmitted by people who have never traveled to China could be the tip of the iceberg. These remarks come as members of a WHO-led international expert mission flew to China today to help coordinate a response to the outbreak that has so far infected more than 40,000 people and killed 908 in the country. Meanwhile, the number of confirmed coronavirus cases on a quarantined cruise ship off Japan almost doubled, bringing to 136 the number of infections in the biggest outbreak outside of China. Meanwhile, China's ambassador to the US, Xu Tiankai, dismissed suggestions the coronavirus originated from a military laboratory and was part of a biological warfare research and warned against such speculation.
Meanwhile, millions of people returned to work after the Chinese Lunar New Year break, which was extended from the 31st of January to curb the spread of the coronavirus. Newsfirst.lk Senitha filed this report.
Now that the Chinese New Year is over, more and more Chinese workers employed in the construction field are coming back to Sri Lanka to report to work. Now the question that remains unanswered is how the Sri Lankan authorities will tackle this issue to stop the further spread of the coronavirus. I'm Senitha Senanayaka reporting for News First. There are roughly 7,000 Chinese nationals who are resident visa holders in Sri Lanka. However, this value does not reflect the true amount, as some of the Chinese labourers do not fall within this category. Nearly 30 to 40% of the workers on major Chinese projects in Sri Lanka are nationals of that country, while local companies too have started employing workers from China. While officially there are around 15,000 Chinese workers in the construction sector here, unofficially close to 100,000 are believed to be working here. Speaking to News First, CEO of the Colombo International Financial City, which employs approximately 600 to 700 Chinese nationals, said the impact felt by the construction industry in Sri Lanka over this issue is only temporary. He added the Chinese nationals employed in the construction industry will return to Sri Lanka and thereafter be quarantined for 14 days. He further said once they are clear, they will return to work and things will return to normalcy.
In more local news, Sri Lanka is set to mass-produce graphene-based lead-acid batteries, targeting to create a $1.5 billion graphene-based industry in the country. News First filed this report. The project plans to position itself among the world's top 5 graphene manufacturers in a few years and drive the country towards product design engineering using graphene-based products. The initiative is the product of a joint venture named Ceylon Graphene Technologies between the Sri Lanka Institute of Nanotechnology and LOLC.
Sri Lanka export graphite for an average price of 1.5 USD per kilo, but converting graphite into graphene easily at a price tag of 3,500 USD per kilo or a higher price. The objective is to create 1.5 billion American dollar graphene-based industry.
By this initiative, we can increase our technological export from 1.3%.
The objective here is to produce graphene in large scale using Sri Lankan graphite resources. So this is an important value addition to our mineral resources, as Sri Lanka is the only country that produces ultra pure, highly crystalline graphite in the world.
The global graphene market value was estimated to be $35 million in 2018 and is expected to reach $406 million by 2026.
The central bank issuing a statement today said that licensed commercial banks have agreed to provide a special credit support scheme to eligible small and medium enterprises during the time period from the 1st of January 2020 to the 31st of December 2020 to complement the fiscal initiatives already announced by the government.
The statement added, based on the discussions the Central Bank of Sri Lanka had with the licensed banks, it is observed that the proposed scheme may not cause an undue level of stress or threaten the stability of the banking system. Accordingly, borrowers with an annual turnover between 16 million rupees to 750 million rupees for the year ended 31st December 2019 are eligible for the program. However, in the case of SMEs which are in the NPL category as at December 31st 2019, the lower limit of annual turnover, which is rupees 16 million, shall not apply. In the event borrowers fail to service interest, licensed banks have been instructed to initiate appropriate risk mitigation processes against such companies. Moreover, the government and CBSL will formulate a credit guarantee scheme to provide risk mitigation arising from any additional loans and advances for up to 75% of the capital sum granted by licensed banks. The statement adds, licensed banks are expected to have a mechanism not to decline loan applications solely based on an adverse crib record. Still in local news, the temporary suspension on the registration of foreign companies in Sri Lanka has been lifted. This was confirmed to Newsfirst by the Assistant Registrar of Companies, Heshan Mathugamage. On the 14th of January, the ROC posted a notice on its official website saying, quote, incorporation of foreign-owned companies in Sri Lanka with Registrar of Companies is temporarily held until further notice, except for BOI-approved companies, unquote. The notice of the decision to suspend the registration of foreign companies did not include any explanations or further clarifications. However, when we contacted the Assistant Registrar of Companies, Heshan Mathugamage, he said that the decision was reached as per the directions from the Presidential Secretariat. He went on to explain the rationale behind the decision, saying that the intent was to safeguard local industries. He added that they are instructed to refrain from granting further approval for small-scale foreign shareholding companies. However, today he confirmed that decision to suspend registration has been reversed.
From today onwards, we received the further instructions from the President's office, register the companies as previously, right? And there are some restrictions on personal services likewise, so will have some restrictions on that. Again, that requirement is still there for reviewing the existing regulations, and in future it will take review the existing laws and will give some directions on further directions on that. That's at the moment, that is the instruction we received.
It was reported that former Chief Minister of the Northern Province, C.V. Vigneshwaran, began a new alliance by the name of Tamil Makkal Thesiya Kootani. Many factions expressed their views regarding this today.
The alliance comprises of the EPRLF, headed by former parliamentarian Suresh Premachandran, the Tamil National Party, headed by former parliamentarian N. Srikanta, and Eelath Tamilar Suyachi Kalaham, headed by former North Province Minister Anadi Sasidharan. All these parties have created this alliance after breaking away from the Tamil National Alliance. There's an ego problem here. There are people who are disappointed after not receiving a nationalist position. There are those who have been removed from the Telo party due to wrong decisions during the presidential election. They have created this alliance with the greed for power. There is no other objective. This alliance of Vigneshwaran is not a challenge to us. They have forgotten to consider the people of the East. This is an alliance only for the election, nothing else. The TNA obtained the vote of the people but did not do any work for the people. These people are from that same TNA. There is no difference between these people.
Thank you
very much, Portia, for that comprehensive update. And on that note, we wrap up Primetime News on TV1 for tonight. Thank you very much for stopping by. I'm Charlene Benedict for the Newsfirst team.
And I'm Michaela Fernando. Good night.